Hi people, Moin Waving back here again. In this video, as you can tell from the header, I'm going to discuss the parents emphasized in someone's natal constellation. So essentially, similar to all the other information that you can extract from the constellation you were born under, astrologically speaking, um, there is also a substantial subsection that gives away in detail information or in-depth information regarding your parents, so parentage, maternally as well as paternally speaking overall. Okay. So yeah, you can deduct essentially from someone's constellation what their parents were like, specifically what role they fulfilled and or played in their child's life, their child being you in this hypothetical or metaphorical example. So yeah, I'm going to put myself up as an example as always. My natal information as always, I was born in Paramaribo, Suriname, 1:25 p.m. on Sunday, September 29, 1985, blah, blah, blah. You know the deal. Yeah, let's start off with the moon first, okay? The moon is 13 degrees in Aries. Everything here is confirmed. My time of birth, all of it is confirmed. So I know for a fact that all of this is true, of course. The moon is 13 degrees in Aries in the third house. Now, the moon is neutral in Aries. Generally speaking, if you want to be as detailed about it as possible, then you also would essentially have to check out the aspects. But again, that's not necessary. That is going too far. This is just general information or semi-detailed information. The moon in Aries indicates that the role that my mother played in my life was generally speaking a role of the aggressor. So she was an aggressive woman. She was almost like a bully, and she essentially had dominatrix tendencies. I want to say she had dominating tendencies. Now everything, even the degree counts. The 13 degrees in Aries stands for trial. I know that degree by memory. I've seen it enough times. Yeah, trial simply stands for the fact that the trials I have faced in my life, and the moon is in the third house, signifying in which part of my life on a day-to-day basis, up to a certain extent, uh, are primarily or were primarily because of her. So you can see for yourself, the moon 13 degrees in Aries in the third house essentially means that my mother, bluntly put, was a huge bitch that was super aggressive and it was responsible for the majority of misery and suffering and overall trials and tribulations in my life on a day-to-day basis between birth and up to a certain extent. Let's just say until early adulthood, for example, until I left my parental home, to put it that way. That's the estimate. All of which is true, obviously, can confirm that. People that know me even in depth know that about me. Now, moving on to Dario. The father by default is represented by Saturn. Saturn, for me, my Saturn was in Scorpio when I was born. Okay, and it's in the 11th house, the house that deals with the public. This degree, 24 degrees in Scorpio, if I'm not mistaken, it stands for fatalistic or fatalism. Okay, someone with a fatalistic attitude. In any case, Saturn is not really good in any sign, honestly, with the exception of Libra and Aquarius and Capricorn and Virgo and so on. You name it. Up to, and even Virgo is neutral, it's up to a certain extent. In any case, Saturn in Scorpio, generally speaking, is not afflicted, but let's just say it's semi-afflicted. It functions with intermediary difficulty, with mild difficulty or minor to mild difficulty. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, that simply means essentially Saturn being in Scorpio in the 11th house stands for the fact that my father essentially played a role between birth and until I left my house, my parental house, the house I grew up in, or the household I grew up in. He played a role in how the public viewed me, how people viewed me. And the fact that Saturn is in Scorpio stands for fatalism, essentially being a victim, essentially, or being victimized or being a victim of aggressive behavior or domineering or overbearing behavior um, because of him, essentially. Um, it works both ways, but it depends on the specific context. But in any case, in this specific case, yeah, that's what it means, which I can also confirm, okay? My father was responsible for the way the public, just the public overall viewed me. when I grew up, and not in a good way. I was essentially, I was essentially, I want to say scoffed upon. I was essentially looked at with disdain, to put it that way, and it was primarily because of him. Okay, he was essentially the how should I put it? He was the catalyst for that, not the instigator, but the catalyst. And yeah, that's essentially it. See, that's an example. So both are completely correct. So again, just to reiterate, by default, the moon represents your mother, Saturn represents your father, and the zodiac signs that they're in can either represent their dominating zodiac sign or their sun sign. So the zodiac sign the sun was in when they were born, or more commonly, okay, the likes of which I described, specifically the role they played in your life. Okay, the role where they played it exactly depends exactly on all the details. Okay, the zodiac sign, the degree that the zodiac sign, that the planet is in that zodiac sign, and last but not least, the house. Second example, okay, I hope you can see this. Sorry that the image is a bit hazy. It's a JPEG image, whatever. In any case, this is the chart of an individual. This is someone, the constellation of someone whom I just casually know, of course, and I removed all the information for the sake of discretion. This is example number 2 and the final example. You get the gist of it. Moon is mother, Saturn is father. The moon for this person was in Capricorn when they were born in the first house, which is not good. The moon is at its weakest, so the moon is substantially afflicted. Okay, the moon is at its strongest in Cancer, and Cancer opposes Capricorn, or better said, Capricorn opposes Cancer. The moon in Capricorn, in the first house, but we're not going to pay attention to the degree, it's not necessary for the sake of this example. Generally speaking, you do want to be as detailed as possible though, but generally speaking, the moon in Capricorn being at its weakest, heavily afflicted, and in the first house stands for the fact that this person was dominated by his or her mother for the first part of their lives. So again, between birth and adulthood, young adulthood, let's just say between the ages of 0 and 30, generally speaking, or 25, you name it. In any case, yeah, the fact that the moon is in Capricorn stands for the fact that their mother was cold, uncaring, simply treated their child like they were like a CEO would, a tyrant like CEO would treat an employee, and instead of actually being nurturing and caring and loving and whatnot. Capricorn by default stands for the exact opposite that Cancer would stand for. Okay, coldness, uncaring, emotionless, simply being ruthless in a matter of speaking, and authoritarianism. So yeah, all of those things, sum everything up that I just said. The mother was essentially a grade A bitch that did nothing but treat the child like an inanimate object and simply said, okay, you do as I say, how I say it, whenever I say it, however I say it, at whatever time I say it, the who, the what, the where, the why, and the how, as in, I rule over you. And the mother simply did not give this person any kind of love or emotional affection whatsoever. Complete coldness and a feeling of uncaringness, or just a plain feeling of uncaring. Now that's it for the moon. Now Saturn. This person's father, Saturn, is 10 degrees in Taurus. Going retrograde. Saturn in Taurus is neutral. Okay, it can be both good and bad. Like I said, it's like semi afflicted, similar to Saturn in Scorpio, honestly. But it's going retrograde, which makes it super afflicted. In this specific case, since it's a natal chart, yeah, retrogrades also apply. So the Saturn is heavily afflicted, and it's in the fourth house. Saturn, by default in Taurus, simply deals with poverty or a fear of being poor. So essentially, financial insecurity. And Saturn is afflicted, like I said, it's substantially afflicted, which stands for the fact that this person's father was, generally speaking, had difficulty making ends meet or providing for the household. Substantial difficulty. That's why Saturn is also opposed to midheaven. The midheaven deals with career-related opportunities and overall career and whatnot. So, and it's in the fourth house, which simply stands for the household. So this person's father was a guy that had to provide for the household, but that struggled in substantially to enormously in doing so, and focused specifically or strictly as a father, focused only essentially at the very or at the very least for the most part on that, providing for the family, providing for the family, providing for the family, because the guy had tremendous difficulty doing so. So yeah, there you have it. Example number two, final example. See, mother was a cold, uncaring, unloving bitch that simply treated the kid like property, and the father was simply a guy that struggled tremendously to bring in money to keep the household afloat and to keep the family's head afloat. And yeah, that's essentially it. That's all. Bye, guys.